now the story of a wealthy family who lost everything, and the one son who had no choice but to keep them all together. It's Arrested Development.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Issue podcast. How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing all right. I am doing good. I have not seen that intro where it's me and the Gill Man.
Oh yeah.
It's from my TikTok.
I think the best part of that intro is that Tobias was not replaced because we didn't need to.
That's right.
It was Tobias, so that's really good. Well, let's see. We're waiting on Clay. He's having some technical issues.
He's old manning it.
Out. So in the meanwhile, what we're gonna do, so for our main show today, we're gonna do a tier ranking list. Now, I don't know if you guys know what that is. I can show you real quick. We're gonna rank into tiers all the movies from the MCU. Now that we have Deadpool and Wolverine, not versus, but we'll do that a little bit later in the show. For now, I do want to ask Jeff, did you get a chance to watch? And we're not gonna watch the full show. We got a comment already. I think Marvel and DC are lazy with casting. I mean, look at the Spider-Man Homecoming cast. They definitely are getting a little redundant with their casting, seeing as they felt the need to bring RDJ back. So we'll see how that goes for them. Did you watch the trailer for Kraven the Hunter? The new one?
I did. It didn't change my opinion of wanting to see this movie or not wanting to see this movie, which is I'm leaning towards not. Unless I can see it for like a $5 Tuesday or something like that, I might go see it for $5.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I got really into it, and obviously a lot of it has to do with using Johnny Cash.
As
the song.
Well, Johnny Cash will sell you every time.
That's right.
I'm intrigued. The things that intrigued me about the movie are Russell Crowe as the dad. That is him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Our favorite exorcist.
Our favorite exorcist. Russell Crowe is in his later years is taking on some real interesting acting choices. Also as Zeus. So again, just like our comment said, multicast in the Marvel universe, because Venom is part of the Marvel universe in the multiverse. So he is both Zeus and Kraven's dad.
Who's Nikolaj Kraven, I think is the name. I don't know. I don't know. I know in the comics, Kraven, there's like a Kraven Senior and a Kraven Junior that are pretty much identical.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, like they made Kraven Jr. kind of like be just his dad, I guess.
Kraven,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I haven't read all the stories. I think I'll definitely read Kraven's Last Hunt on the way to this, because it's something that feels like I've never read it.
It's good. It's so good. It's been years since I've read it, and I've been meaning to reread it. But I remember reading it as a kid and just really being really into it.
Yeah.
When does this movie come out?
It comes out in December. So Leonard came in the chat disagreeing with the casting. It's hard because they've been doing it for almost 20 years. Well, I guess some like 16 years now, right? Something like that. 2008 to now. Like at some point, you're gonna run out of people to cast.
I was gonna say they're digging deep. I feel like now because you're starting to get people like this guy from Netflix is cast as this person, and I have no idea who these people are anymore.
And they've made stars. There's people that were already stars that kind of came into the universe. They've cemented stars that were probably like early in their career, and they've established them as like I feel specifically, maybe I'm thinking like Chris Pratt. I feel like he really got his launching pad off of being Star-Lord. He was already working, right? He was on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
But
that definitely launched
them into like being a movie star.
I mean, even Robert Downey Jr. Like he was not like
he was the comeback story for sure.
He
He was already a star. I think he was either nominated or won an Oscar for Chaplin early in his career, but obviously he had a lot of personal issues, and Jon Favreau took a chance on him. So, but back to Kraven, because Kraven is my friend. If you follow me on Twitter, ever since we got that first trailer, I changed my name to Friend of Kraven. And the movie keeps getting delayed, so it gets funnier. I think the longer it goes, it gets funnier. So
I don't. So my thing with it is, I guess they're fun as one-off movies, sort of like just their own little weird Sony 90s action films, like early,
yeah,
like they feel like they all feel the same. And if they would just stop, and maybe they don't do this. Honestly, I don't know, because I've seen Madam Web. I skipped out on Morbius. I still have not seen Morbius. I still have not seen Venom 2, the second one.
I would say watch that before you watch Morbius, if you're gonna.
So I think I've seen Madam Web and Venom. Is there another one? What's the other one?
Let's see, for the Sony ones. So the first one was Venom, Morbius, Venom 2, then Madam Web. I think that's it.
So that's all. Yeah. I've only not seen 2. I like Venom. The more time I spend away from Venom, the more I kind of like it in the back of my head. It has that weird nostalgic vibe of it being like the things that stand out from that movie. Tom Hardy like arguing with himself. It's a very funny odd couple movie where Tom Hardy plays both roles,
Yeah. No, I like that.
And so Venom to me it's super cheesy, and it's like aggressive broness and stuff like that. So, and I felt like just from the clips that I've seen of like some of the other ones, they all kind of feel that vibiness to them. So I'm kind of down with it, because it feels like I would just be going to watch something like The Beekeeper or whatever, like just some random action film. Although The Beekeeper is great, I'm not putting them on that level. Yeah, I'm not ready to put them on that same level.
Excuse you, sir.
But when I think about them in the context of like big comic book movies and what they're producing now, I'm like, I feel like Sony is trying to make good movies that are bad. I think they should be trying to make bad movies that are good, if that makes sense.
The other thing is, people are already wise to Sony, right? We only like the memes when the crowd is the one generating the memes, like when they try to cash in on the whole Morbius meme of it all and then re-released it in theaters. We were like, nah, this is only funny when we think it's funny, not when you want us to make it funny. And nobody, I believe it made like under $1,000 when they re-released it in theaters.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that, as much power as these giant corporations have, we still have a little bit of control over, like, hey, we know what's funny, we know what the memes are, but still, you're not gonna trick us into gonna give you more money for that. So
right,
it'll be interesting. I think while we wait on Clay, I think what we can do is go ahead and move on to our previously on section. And then we'll begin the tier list whenever Clay's able to jump on. So, Jeff, you wanna start?
I can even transition pretty easily, because I was saying, I think that they could make bad movies good. So I feel like a lot of like so I saw Abigail this week, the little girl vampire movie, which has this, and it's kind of that same cheesiness, I think, to it. It's not trying to be Dracula. It's not trying to be an Oscar kind of contender. It's like, we have 5 very distinct character personalities that you've seen in a million different movies, and we throw them in with a cool little kid vampire who's creepy and whatever. And it turns out to be like just a fantastic ride of a movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like you go into these Sony movies and they kind of get bogged down in trying to tie it to like Spider-Man because they're all Spider-Man related. So they should just let them be their own thing, just like Morbius is just a weird vampire dude, and Jared Leto can totally be a weird vampire dude. But you know, I don't know. I feel like they're what is the name of this movie? Abigail. I loved Abigail though. Yeah,
it's really good. It's really, really fun.
And what makes it fun, I think, is that you kind of like the trailers give everything away. Like, you know, she's a little vampire going into it. But, you know, I honestly did not see where that movie was going. And it's not like it's like a big shocker or, you know, whatever, but it's still like, oh, well, that's a different, you know, places than I would have gone, you know. There are where I thought it was going to go. And I think everybody did a good job playing their part, you know.
Yeah, real quick, Joe in the chat, the Rhino and Kraven looks insane. I'm interested to see because I thought it was going to be like a more subtle Rhino from the first trailer because they didn't even show anything. They just give us a little bit of like, oh, maybe his skin's trying to transform. And it looks like, as opposed to where the comics, he's just a guy that's stuck in the Rhino suit, which I've always wondered, like, how does a man poop?
It's like a little hatch.
Oh, God. But yeah, it looks like he actually transforms in this one, right? Like he and maybe it was more subtle, and it looks like from this new trailer, like no, maybe he should go full Rhino. We know the Chameleon's supposed to be in that film because I think Kraven and the Chameleon are brothers. I believe they're siblings in the comics.
Really? I did not know that.
I think it's either Kraven and Chameleon or the Rhino and the Chameleon. The Chameleon is one of their siblings.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, that's what I thought it was doing, but it was full. Yeah, definitely full blown Rhino man. But all right, back to Abigail, which has a couple of Marvel characters in it. Dan Stevens is in it. He was Legion and FX Legion. And then we also have I forget the name of the actor, but he was the Blob in the Wolverine Origins film.
Which one?
The tough guy with the accent. I forget his name.
Oh, yeah. I always think he looks kind of like a buff Elon Musk for some reason.
Okay, that's probably actually the great way to describe it. If you just to get a mental picture.
Yeah, he's like a roided Elon.
He's a really fun actor though. Yeah, and like you wouldn't recognize him. He was also the Floronic Man in the Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay.
Short-lived Swamp Thing DC thing. So
I've seen him in a bunch of stuff before. Catherine Newton, I think, is in that movie. She's she's Ant-Man's daughter.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. So there you go. You're right. We're out of actors. Everybody's in everything.
Everybody's in everything now. It's hard to find.
We should do a podcast where we talk about movies from MCU actors but not the MCU movies themselves, just like all the other stuff they make outside of Marvel, because then we'd never run out of episodes.
See, so everybody made a big deal about RDJ coming back, but I'm like, outside of the Christopher Nolan movie, I'm like, RDJ hasn't had like a huge run outside of Marvel since becoming Iron Man. Like he tried to do that Dr. Dolittle and it failed. I feel like there was.
He had a movie where he was like a lawyer. It's called The Judge, I think. That
one.
That was his first attempt at an Oscar, I think, because that was very much like a passion project of his own.
So I think a lot of people are like pointing at Marvel, being like, "Ugh," and I'm like, I feel like RDJ needs them just as much as I feel like that's far more a symbiotic relationship.
No, that's Venom
too. Well, he could show up in that too. So, he could be in anything.
Who is the suit and who's Eddie? Is RDJ Eddie Brock and Disney is the symbiote in this metaphor that we're crafting?
That's a good. Yeah. I think that's correct.
Oh yeah, Justice for Sherlock Holmes. Come on now, Guy Ritchie.
But that's pre Marvel. He hasn't done that since being Iron Man.
That's true. I guess it's true. Oh, Hold on, Coca. Hold on. Let me change the layout.
Ooh, I like that.
God.
Hi, Clay. Glad
Hey.
you got things working.
I don't know if they're working. They're just held together with duct tape and string for now.
Hey, we just needed to hold for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just keep going. We'll just keep going with the previously on for like the first hour of the show, and then we'll do the tier.
Okay.
I was gonna do it the other way around, but now it just kind of worked out that way. Jeff, what else? What else you been watching?
That's about it. I'm in a post-Olympic funk.
Same.
So I just kind of been scattered.
Are you going back and watching any of the things that you might have missed or highlights or anything like that?
I did go back and watch the women's basketball final gold medal game, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I went back and watched some of the just track and field, like javelin, just random track and field events. Overall, I think I watched pretty much everything. I didn't watch like all the different kinds of swim meets and stuff like that because you see one person swimming across the pool, you've seen them all.
I don't know. That's what they said, and then Michael Phelps jumped on the.
That's right. Katie Ledecky beat all those people by like swimming. 4 days.
Yeah.
Check
it out. He's the closest thing we have to Aquaman.
I did like there was a story about a guy.
Leonard Kim calling Jeff out for his lack of knowledge of dates.
I'm just saying.
Going for the throat.
It was congruent with MCU, early MCU. I like the rock climbing stuff. That was pretty cool.
That was crazy.
They should do like a laser tag. Like if we're going to start doing crazy sports, let's open it up. Laser tag, tetherball. I want to see some Olympic tetherball. Just throw a rock in a cup.
For USA, give me Napoleon Dynamite tetherball.
Give me some of those Ocho sports. The weird ones.
Yeah, cornhole. I've been watching cornhole.
Dodgeball should be
slap fighting.
If you do handball, like why isn't dodgeball an Olympic sport?
Exactly.
And I'm being serious on that. See, Leonard Kim knows what I'm talking about. How do we not have dodgeball?
Yeah.
Have you guys watched Karjitsu?
That feels like they're smashing cars into each other. Did I get it right?
No, it is. Okay. It is two guys who are buckled into a car that fight with jiu-jitsu inside of a car. It literally looks like Deadpool versus Wolverine with just regular guys trying to beat the crap out of each other inside a car.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I've seen like you can't, the game where you just can't let the balloon touch the floor, and they have like a set up fake apartment and then like an audience sitting around this fake little room, and it's just two guys just like running around furniture that they've set up, trying not to let the balloon touch the floor.
I think
it's amazing.
I think the original Olympic Games should just be the floor is lava.
And be actual lava.
Yeah, it's just kids who say the floor is lava and jump on furniture.
While I was watching the track, especially the long jump, it reminded me of being back in like elementary school when we all had to do like this kind of like these field day activities, and just the weird anxiety the long jump gave me, because there's like the spot that your foot can't touch like the little bar or whatever, but then there's an extra bar that's your foot can touch that, but now we're going to judge you on how well up and down that one little piece of wood that you jump off of. Like if you jump too soon, well, you're not a great jumper. If you made it just before the end of the thing, then you're a great jumper. So I'm like, it's double anxiety to jump as far as you can while jumping before this point, but still trying to jump at the end of this extra other. It was too much for me, and I felt anxiety for the jumpers. And I'm like, just dig a hole. Like, they're all going to jump at least 3 feet. Just like make it a hole. That's my thing.
I don't know what Jeff is talking about.
You never had to do like kind of like track events in middle school.
We had to do like the president's fitness test or whatever, but that's about it.
Yeah, thanks, President. I hated
you
those.
didn't have like a thing.
Well,
Where
I
you went
mean,
to
encouraging
the-
kids to, out of all the terrible things presidents have done, encouraging kids to go outside and do some exercise.
Yeah, in front of
Probably not at the
everyone, we
top
need
of
you
the
to
list.
do one pull up, and it's like,
I guess the fact that it shames everyone in front of you, but I mean,
yeah.
it's not their fault. That maybe I should have been able to do a pull up. Maybe that's on me.
You're just taking that on yourself.
Yeah.
I was
You never
fine
had
and
a-
happy not being shamed in front of everyone for not being able to do a pull up.
You never had a track and field day where you went into like the actual, because we always went to like an actual like stadium, like whatever the high school used for football.
Oh, no. I don't
And
think
then
so.
we would face off against all the other elementary schools and
Oh.
things like relay races and tug of war. And
Yeah, we had a dirt track, and pretty much it's like, okay, so 4 laps is a mile, and I'm like, let's start walking.
Yeah, I didn't live here till middle school, so but we didn't do whenever we did like a mile thing, we just run around. My middle school and high school were in the same block, so like that whole block was the 2 schools. So they just make us go around the block there I think a couple times that was a mile or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
is that local here? Like, have you driven around as an adult to be like, this is like 8 miles or whatever?
I mean, I've driven by. I've never tried it. And I was just going on blind faith, I guess, at the time. I was like, whatever. I'll just I'm only gonna do 1 lap at most, or I'll cut through the middle and then go back. So like
That's a fun game that you play as you get older, which is like, oh, adults lied to me all the time. Like,
I do drive by my high school sometimes. I went to Thomas Jefferson in North Dallas, so like, especially after I got hit by the tornado, I was like, oh shit, what happened to the school? But they rebuilt.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
a few years ago when we got that tornado that hit like the Dallas area.
Yeah.
So
you just
Right.
drive by, smoke a cigarette, throw it out the window, and be like, old times. And then just drive on.
I'm not a smoker. I've smoked before, but I think just growing up with my dad smoking, I was like, I don't like it. So
What was the first thing you figured out adults were lying to you about?
that I could do anything I wanted when I grew up.
We had a tornado hit our school in 3rd grade, and so we had to go out in the hallway and just like, the duck and cover against the wall. And then a few years later, I would learn, well, that's the same way you avoid a nuclear blast. And I'm like, you guys are fucked. We're gonna die. Like, just duck and cover is all you have. That's it.
You didn't do under the desk duck and cover for nuclear blast?
No, it was up
The
against
desk.
the walls in the hallway.
Up against the walls in the hallway was definitely tornado for us.
I
Which-
think
But it was like the
Full of
same thing.
lockers, I feel like that would be like a dangerous kind of thing,
We didn't have lockers. It was elementary school, so I was in
Oh,
3rd
okay.
grade.
I think the Cold War was over by the time I got to school.
Did you go? So yeah, because we missed out on shooter drills. Did you have any shooter drills?
Oh, we had no, actually, I don't think so. No, not shooter,
Yeah.
like no active shooter. I think I went to school within that period of time between the Cold
That
War
gap.
and shooting drills. The worst thing we had to worry about was gangs. We did have metal detectors and make sure because gangs would have issues at school, but even that was I never had any issues with that. So Leonard Kim was Santa was the first thing.
Santa.
Yeah, Santa's a classic.
Papa Noel.
Unless you're watching kids, Santa's real. He's actually in the DCU. If you read
So
the
is
comic book.
Krampus.
Yeah,
Rudolph, however, is a big fucking lie. So
right. It's a prosthetic nose. All right, let me talk about some of the stuff I watched. So I watched Vince Vaughn has a new show on Apple TV called Bad Monkey. It's like a little crime thing.
Yes, I'm excited to watch this.
It's very good. I only watched the first episode, but I really enjoyed it. I don't know. I like Vince Vaughn in this new I'm just gonna do he was doing all the funny stuff in the early 2000s, and then this is still kind of comedic. I think he found a nice ground, middle ground between drama and comedy, where he can kind of bring in both. It feels very real, and it's in Florida, so things are gonna be unhinged. As I'm watching it though, I do think he probably just took this show because it was in Florida, and that's probably a nice it's probably a nice place to spend a few months shooting, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
but not to live there.
Yeah, I mean, it's all being done in the Keys, which is close to Miami, so that's probably one of the better parts to be hanging around. Like
Oh,
either
yeah.
that or Orlando, right? Where you can just go to the resorts and the theme parks.
This is a Bill Lawrence show too, so that's
It is. It is. So
Oh, I love Bill Lawrence.
he's been
it's got
killing
that
it lately.
fun. It's got that fun part of it. Like, yeah, I mean, he's probably got a good deal with Apple TV, so make
Yeah,
It's apparently a book too. Like it's adapted from a book or a novel or something. I'm not sure. You guys know I don't read, so I also, because House of the Dragon ended and I didn't have anything else to watch on Sunday nights, I saw that a show called The Industry was coming back for its third season, and I saw that Kit Harington was in the poster from Game of Thrones, and I was like, well, let me watch the first season so I can catch up.
you mean Marvel's Kit Harington?
Marvel's Kit Harington, that's right, the Black Knight.
Barely.
He was talking about that, like he's like, I mean, I'm ready to do something, but it depends on this Blade movie, so like, he doesn't know. Because I think he was doing press for this season 3 of Industry. Interestingly enough, he's not in the other 2 seasons. He's only in the 3rd season. He's a new addition to the cast. But this Industry show, and I put this out on Twitter, it feels like if Succession had a kid with Euphoria, and it was, but this kid was raised by Cinemax. and growing up, they only allowed it to watch like shows on BritBox because it's in the UK. So like, I'm not a prude or anything. There's too much sex going on in this show. It's like just a lot. And I'm like, man, these they're all in like finance. I'm like, man, these finance people are horny as hell.
That's what spreadsheets will do to you.
I guess maybe that's what working from home really stops me from going all out. I guess I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy, but the show, it's very interesting. Like all the finance nonsense, whatever. And interestingly enough, like last season, I don't know if they had to rewrite it or in just season 2. Like I don't know if they had to rewrite it or not because obviously COVID happened, so they incorporated that into the storyline. As far as like how it affected the markets and all that. So it's pretty interesting. This 3rd season has a character, Kit Harington's like this, like he owns this startup that's very successful, or at least it looks like it's very successful. So like, it's interesting to see like all the lengths that these people go to please people with money, in a way that's scary but interesting to watch because they really play it up, right? So at least I hope they're playing it up. I don't know, maybe not. And I think that's all I watched as far as watch things that are new. I'm still watching Kite Man. That show's pretty fun. If you haven't seen it, make sure
I
to
gotta
catch
make
up.
time for that.
Yeah, it's really, if you like Harley, you're gonna like. I think Kite Man's one of the funner characters in that show anyway. So it makes sense they would do a spin-off for him.
I need to finish. Have you finished Batman Cape Crusader yet?
Not yet, and only because I want to savor it. Like I really enjoyed. I think I'm 3 episodes in, and I'm like, I don't want this to end. Especially because I know. I think did Kevin Conroy get a chance to voice somebody in this? I thought he did somebody later, but maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of a different show. Either way, I'm very excited for that show. It's really good. So yeah. Leonard came in the chat real quick. I like what I've seen from Bad Monkey so far. Yeah, they dropped 2 episodes, so I only watched the first one to get a feel for it. So, all right, Clay, what have you been watching?
Same. I've been missing out on the Olympics. I've just kind of been watching old Office and Parks and Rec. But Mark and I are going to review the Bike Riders tomorrow, so I got to watch that, and it was a wild experience because I wasn't really hyped to watch this. I was like, I'm gonna just watch this to get this over with. The advertisements had failed to pull me in. I mean, I'm only going in because Tom Hardy. This Austin Butler kid, I'm not excited for. in 5 minutes, I pivoted so hard and was into this film. Like it tells you in the first 5 minutes exactly what this movie is, and then gives you Michael Shannon. So if you're not in, you might as well turn it off because it is a great fucking film.
Yeah,
it is about a biker gang that develops and the history of biker gangs from this fake crew called the Vandals. And so the opening scene is like these guys in a bar trying to get this guy to take his colors off, his Vandal colors. And he's like, fuck that. So they just beat the shit out of him. And it's like what he'll go to just wear these, like how important they are to him. And man, like I hope we just do an episode to talk about this because this is a wild piece of American history that took place mainly starting in the 50s, but this story takes place in the 60s and goes into the 70s based on an interview they do with the lead character. What's her name? Comer?
Jodie Comer. Yeah, Jodie Comer carries that film.
She does. Like she's the narrator because it's done based on interviews with a guy. So they'll tell you, they'll go into the story and show these characters and then pull you out as she tells you the story. Like she's back with the reporter and then she'll go back and then let you live through those moments. So it's balanced so well that you're kind of in and out of it as they skip time. And as they do, they're able to encapsulate this entire history of this biker group that is wild because it just starts off as guys who like to race bikes. And one guy goes, well, I want to start a club. And he goes, why? And he goes, so we could talk about more bikes. He's like, nah. And that's literally like the division of the group at the beginning is like one guy wants to hang out and just talk about bikes more and another guy doesn't. So that's the division of the group. And this group grows and grows and grows until it becomes like a crime group.
Yeah,
but it is a wild snapshot of that time period of America. It's beautifully shot. I mean, every part of America that you see is just fields and open roads, and these guys who lived on the road on their bikes. It is an amazing film. I love it.
Yeah, maybe we can do like a biker media episode, and then talk about this and other stuff to compare it to.
Is this an Easy Rider?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider, Easy Rider, and
Easy Rider. All the riders.
All the riders.
Bike Riders, Easy Rider, Ghost Rider. The three riders of American media.
Yeah, but that's the only new thing I've watched. Everything else has just been comics.
All right. Well, then let's toss it back to Jeff. We can go over some comics. We're making pretty good time, I think. So we can talk about comics, and then we'll get into our tier rankings.
Yeah. I have yet to I haven't finished this week's Action Comics yet, nor The Domain. But what I did finish reading is Ultimates number 3.
Oh, I haven't read that this week. I did pick it up.
Pretty
though.
good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. We get to meet this universe's version of what I'm guessing is She-Hulk. But there's a whole bunch of Hulks.
Right.
This is Falling in Love on the Path to Hell number 3.
Oh yeah,
that's a great title.
Yeah, that's what sold me. Honestly, I'm like, you give me a good title, I'll check out the first issue, and if it's good, then I'll keep reading. This is by Jerry Duggan. A whole bunch of other people. Right. Gary Duggan. It's pretty great. It's a bunch of just like combatants, warriors. Like one guy's a gunslinger. This girl is a samurai warrior. They have both fallen on the field of battle in their respective, whatever universes' lives. They think they're going to die, but they end up washing ashore of this like purgatory island where they have to fight these demons every night. Somebody's going to fall in love. That's all I know. And it hadn't happened yet, but Barbaric, Born in Blood number 3, by Michael Morisi, and I think it's Mark Gooden. I love everything from these series.
Yeah,
just fun barbarian stuff. Batman and Robin number 12. It's a fun comic.
I kind of fell off that series, and I don't know why, because I was enjoying the whole idea of like Batman and Robin having these domestic lives together and like trying to just be normal parent and father and son. But I think there was so much of stuff going. It's so disconnected from the other Batman stuff that I was reading that I was like, I could probably wait and just trade weight this.
It is very, very, very. It makes reference to like right now they're dealing heavily with the City of Bane stuff where Bane kills Alfred and how Damian is dealing with it because Bane is in the mix right now. But yeah, as far as like it running concurrently to what's going on in the DC universe, not at all.
Right.
And it does feel, because it's more family oriented, it does feel a bit more all ages than the other Batman books. Not necessarily for kids, just not adult, not super dark or whatever.
Yeah,
So
even the art is more like stylized and like manga inspired cartoon. Like that's just kind of at least if the interiors are still looking like the cover, I guess. I don't know if that same artist is still on it.
Yeah, it's just still the same kind of art. Cool. But it is kind of a nice palette cleanser to all the other Batman stuff. This is from last week. This is Doctor Strange 18. But this is the last issue of Doctor Strange for that run. Transformers number 11. I'm surprised nobody else has been like, hey, there's a giant planet like hanging over Earth. It seems to have been pretty localized to just this Transformers comic. I do love that Shockwave is a psycho.
Yeah, he is the worst. I finally understand the distinction between RC and is it Ura?
Alita 1?
Yeah. Oh, that's why. The lettering makes it seem like it's a different word, and I was like, what the hell? Well, she comes up and RC comes up and just sucks her in the face, or the other way around. And I was like, what the hell? And because I thought it was like a flashback at first, but then they both show up at the same place. I don't know. That was confusing.
Yeah, I feel like they're like I don't know what they are to one another, but in my head canon they're like sisters or something. Like it feels like they have a very domestic hate each other kind of thing.
Well,
X Factor number 1.
Ooh.
I love this cover with Havoc.
I got the same one.
Yeah. Very reminiscent of Ecstatics, if anybody remembers that comic.
Yes, loved it.
So this is kind of the same principle, but written by Mark Russell, so it's very tongue-in-cheeky.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's corporate owned sort of mutant team. And they're talking about how all the governments are trying to get in on like this mutant arms race.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very not the first mission does not go well.
My favorite iterations of X Factor are when they work for like the government or a corporation. Peter David did a run like in the 2012s where like they were actually part of a corporation. I forget the name. It's like some kind of panther or puma or something. I don't know. But that was really cool. I really enjoyed that run.
Yeah. Fantastic Four 23. Reed is upset that Dr. Doom is the new Sorcerer Supreme. But this is really kind of a Johnny-centric story. I don't know. I just really love this comic, right? That's Ryan North. I know Josh loves it too. They're just really great. These kind of one-off Fantastic Four stories run one right after another, than just being super family-oriented. X-Men number 2, Jed McKay, Ryan Stegman. It's okay. It's not totally selling me.
It's okay. Ouch.
It feels like the Krakoan Age had a lot of like ideas that it was throwing out. This feels like they're taking a lot of these books back to basics, and I get where they're doing that because they're like, okay, this has to be different and maybe get a whole new readership. But then people that have been reading continuously, I'm like, well, I mean, this is a lot more straightforward than before. So like, it's almost as if you've been eating like fancy food for a while, and then you got to slum it with just a nice home cooked meal, which is nice. It's still probably a really good meal. But like, I was eating steak the other day.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to call this like the McNuggets of comics.
No. It's still just like a nice meal. It's just a lot more simple and straightforward than before. At least for now.
Meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Basic.
Yeah. It is very basic. But what's weird is so the uncanny version, so Gail Simone stuff.
Mhm.
So this is more action oriented. Gail Simone, I feel like, is dealing with more of their like everybody's being like, we used to have our own island and like we
Yeah.
kind of knew what we were doing, and now we're just kind of hanging out. Like, what are we doing with our lives?
Yeah.
And so that for me is far more intriguing than them. They live out in Alaska. They have this weird like these guys feel like they're trying to not recreate Krakoa, but kind of have that same unified kind of because there's like
Trying to
villains.
recreate the vibe.
Yeah. Find the
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, and whereas the other ones feel like they're kind of more lost. They have it kind of feels more like the Australian years, the outback years,
Yes.
where they were just kind of like roaming around aimlessly, but still getting
all,
into
all
you
over
know,
the
shit.
world too, just like as
Yeah.
a small group and never having really a home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
so
looks cool, though.
I'm digging Uncanny more than I'm digging normal, but we'll see.
Oh shit, I loved Uncanny.
And then She-Hulk number 10. This is the final issue of this. Marvel canned it. I'm very upset about that because it's just a really good, straightforward She-Hulk living her daily life, trying to, balance being a superhero, a lawyer. Like everybody loves her in the Marvel universe. So like people come to her for advice and just want to hang out with her and her dating life. And like, it's just a very slice of life superhero comic. And I feel like we don't get a lot of those. So it's good.
I am glad that She-Hulk is back. For as much as I love Jason Aaron's run on the Avengers, and I don't know if he's the one that wanted She-Hulk in the hulked out form all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like this Jennifer better because it makes her different and more interesting than the Hulk, right? She deals with different things. So I'm glad that she's back to like more of the like the She-Hulk that we kind of know. I was not a big fan of. That was probably the only thing in the Jason Aaron run that I was like,
oh yeah,
this feels like a weird choice. That she's always like,
but she was called Savage She-Hulk in the beginning, so I like him kind of taking that name and making it real in the story.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it was his idea or that was just like how she was at the time, and it's like he wasn't going to take the time to turn her back around. So I think he made it work.
And it's not an original idea. I mean, he did it for the longest, but I think it happened in a quick little Jeff Johns run in the Avengers back in the 2000s. And I think Bendis kind of made her go crazy Hulk out when she killed Vision or whatever. And so she kind of like, she's been Savage before. But it wasn't to that extent.
Yeah, I also haven't read many of those. Like I've read the Charles Soule run, where it's like more law, like really focused on the law part of it. So
the Dan Slott run, same thing.
Same.
Of course, the John Byrne run, and I love that she had like this series had a whole bunch of fun little bits to it. Like she started a fight club.
Yeah,
they would just go to like,
I've read that one.
Yeah, the Punch Club, and like they had jackets made, and like it's just these weird reoccurring things that I just really enjoyed about this series. That is, and I just really enjoy Rainbow Rowell. I don't know how to say her name really, but whenever she writes something, I'm in on it. Like the Superman book, she's writing the backup story in that Superman book.
Yes, the lowest.
It's really good too.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway, that's everything.
All right, let me go through some of the stuff I picked up. I haven't read everything. It's been a busy week. I did pick up the second issue of Gotham City Sirens, which is just it's going to be a 4-part weekly. I'm really enjoying it though. Just mainly because I like those characters working together. I also picked up the Red Band Werewolf by Night that came out this week. I also haven't read this one, so I'll let you guys know. There's a new Spider Society book if you want more Spider-Verse stuff. This was actually really fun. Madam Web calls everyone in for a meeting because there's some stuff going on, and you get.
Is she still old in the comics?
She's not. She's the younger version. I think it's a different Madam Web, but like, just look at that. Look at that. We have the T-Rex Spider-Man. We have the character from the movies, the Spider-Woman from the movies, and Jessica Drew. So like, we have both interacting in the comics. So that's pretty fun. One of the highlights that we were going to talk about, but and then ended up not talking about it, Johnny Quest.
Johnny Quest,
number 1. Jeff? Did you ever get a chance to go back and read it?
I did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, it's really fun.
It is.
Really like the premise.
I do love the twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth picking up, and it's Joe Casey and
Sebastian Perez. Yeah, Sebastian. If you follow them on Blue Sky, they put a lot of little art, like just little characters. Yeah. Joe Casey back doing some really fun stuff.
Man of Action.
I haven't read this week's Moon Knight, but I picked up the Disco Dazzler variant.
I didn't know there was a Dazzler variant. I haven't been to my shop this past week.
He's in his club era, and really cool. One of my favorite things I read this week: DC versus Vampires, World War V, the continuation of that. The story we got.
Otto Schmidt art.
A few years ago. Otto Schmidt's back. Matthew Rosenberg's back. I don't think you need to read the original to like get in on this. You probably should.
It's fun. It's fun. The funnest book.
I agree. It's really good. Out of the two books that came out that Halloween, I think they dropped the Task Force Z with some of the characters that were like coming back to life, like led by Red Hood. And this was the one that I enjoyed. I enjoyed more at the end. I picked up Kardak the Mystic from Archie Comics, just a one shot. I haven't read it though. I didn't know there was a wizard in the Archie universe. I guess I should have figured there was one.
It's an old enough universe that it has a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Really. Picked up the Spider-Man Back in Black, Venom Wartime, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. It was a cool cover, and I was like, it's a new Venom War thing. I'll check it out.
I have Venom War #1. I haven't read it yet, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's interesting because I haven't been reading Venom, so I feel like I'm missing a lot. But let us know once you do get to read it, Clay. Life is Strange #4. This is the last issue of the series, written by Zoe Thorogood with art by Claudia Leonardi. If you like the games, I think you're gonna enjoy this. I don't know if you guys have ever played the Life is Strange games.
I think I played the first chapter because the first chapter is free.
Gotcha. Yeah. Haven't read this, but I picked up Green Lantern 14, the Absolute Power tie-in.
Wow, classic Hal.
Classic, yeah. And then these are the Resistance variants, they're called, because obviously they don't have their powers right now, so they just have to wear their civilian clothes. Picked up Sir #1. This is the motorcycle jousting book from Boom Studios. So if you want to see some motorcycle jousting,
that sounds dangerous.
That's a weird. That's a weird pitch for a comic. Is motorcycle jousting.
Last but not least, well, what if I told you that they're only jousting because they want to get? It's the only way that they can get back with their partner. That's right. And
Where's
then
that date show on Netflix? I'd watch that.
Yeah, right. Last but definitely not least, I picked up Houses of the Unholy. This is the new Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips book.
Yes.
We do have this on our Dropbox if you guys want to read it. Well, not the audience, but the people in the panel. Sorry, guys.
You have my attention, sir.
Yeah, but look at that. Nice hardcover. Really cool. It's kind of like this deals with kind of like a satanic panic type of era and a cult and like an FBI agent that has to work with, Brubaker and Phillips, like they do the crime noir, crime thriller really, really well.
Top tier team in comics. I would definitely say they're probably the best at what they do.
Ed Brubaker, is he the busiest guy in comics? Like he comes out with comics all the time.
And he's doing that Batman show. He's part of that Batman show, I think.
Oh, the Penguin.
The Batman Cape Crusader.
The Cape Crusader, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It seemed like, man, he'd be a better fit for the Penguin show.
I could see that.
This Cape Crusader one, though, is very detective oriented.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got like his indie stuff is like, I feel like he's got a book all the time.
It's like clockwork. Like every 3 or 4 months, you're getting a new thing with both of them, and it's like,
yeah.
Do they ever take a break?
He's like the James Patterson, but like in the good way of
In the
comics.
good way. Not mass production of paperbacks, just
Yeah, like early James Patterson, back when Patterson wrote them all himself, actually.
And quick comment in the chat. I'm looking forward to the Kneel Before Zod collection. Yeah, I read Kneel Before Zod #1. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this version of
Keneal.
Zod. Keneal,
Oh,
yeah.
really? What misses the mark for you?
Not funny enough.
I think it's because he has a kid and they trying to, and it's weird because the kid kind of goes away to his own series after the first issue. But I'm like, I feel like it would have been more interesting if you kind of kept the family dynamic and then like give me the version of like how come Superman can make a family work, but then Zod can't, right? He's struggling with that. Also, there's no Superman because he's like off in his own planet trying to rule his own planet. So I don't know. I like him when he's foil to Superman, and I find that more interesting.
But they could have done a Zod. I mean, it sounds like they could have done a kind of Game of Thronesian Zod story.
Yeah.
That would have been really interesting.
Yeah. Before I let Clay talk about his comics, I did go to a comic book in Grand Prairie, and I found the DC, what are they called? DC Compact Comics.
Yeah.
I picked up Hush and the Court of Owls. These are only $10, and they have all 12 and 11 issues for each of the series. That's
Color
a lot.
printed?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out and go grab mine.
Color printed? Color printed?
Yeah. Yes, these are in color. They look great. The Courts of Owls still has it the original way it was printed, where you have to turn the book.
Yeah.
Capullo turns the art to make you like have the book like sideways and upside down, and these are great quality. These are good things. Like if you want to keep them in your house, because they're printing all the classic stories, right? And I missed a lot of the first wave. These are apparently from the second wave, and I like that they put them in these little like categories. Like the Court of Owls, they call it a thriller, and Hush is a mystery, right? So like they're kind of categorizing them as like what kind of story. They're really just letting you know, like, hey, do you like manga?
Yeah.
Out. It's a whole. Which one do you have? Far Sector. Oh my god, I want that one so bad.
Yeah, and I've never read it, so all the other mini books I've read, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I've read these too, and they're two of my favorite Batman things, so I wanted to have them. I definitely want to.
It's super smart. That's so smart of them to do.
I can't believe it took this long.
I will say I don't understand the Watchmen small print because I feel like that's not like an entryway into comics, but they printed Watchmen in that small edition too. I felt like most of these books were kind of entryways into some of the characters, but that one was a little more.
Watchmen is only so that they don't have to give the rights back to Alan Moore, right? It's the whole thing that
follow the money.
Okay. As long as they keep printing Watchmen, I think like DC retains like the rights to the characters, whatever messed up contract that ended up being.
Corporation gonna corporation.
Yeah. So I recommend.
Do they have Dark Knight Returns? Is that one of the ones you had, or you had Court of Owls? And what was the other one?
Court of Owls and Hush. I think in the first wave, I think there was Watchmen, Far Sector that Clay has. I think Dark Knight Returns was another one. There was a Wonder Woman book as well. Marvel is doing something similar but this makes more sense because these are Peach Momoko's Demon Days. These are in black and white, so they are reprinting the same. Well, for the most part, black and white. But this is just a collection of all the Demon Day one shots that she did for her kind of universe. So they're not doing the exact same thing, and these are a little bigger.
Yeah, I'd kind of love to see that book just because of the black and white art. Like her art.
Yeah, no, I mean it works perfectly with Peach Momoko.
Marvel has tried to do stuff like that before with like their Runaways, like some of their stuff that is a bit more all ages. They've had like smaller versions.
The Strange Academy, they printed in the young adult size. I think that's just so like when they have them at the bookstores like Barnes and Noble and stuff, like they'll put them with the young adult novels as opposed to in the graphic novel section.
What's a bookstore?
Well, Have you ever gone to a library, Clay? Well, what if I told you that you can go to a library, but they'll charge you to leave with the book, but you don't have to return it ever? I guess
Oh,
it's
okay.
also something you could do at the library, but they'll charge you later. It's kind of like a lay. I don't know. Don't steal books from your library.
No.
If anything, I need to bring a bunch of these comics to my local library.
Yeah, someone made a huge donation of RPG books to the Mesquite Library, so it was neat to be able to check out some. Like they even have the newest Marvel game in there.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
what was really cool, like last week, I was talked about reading Superior Spider-Man for the first time. That book had been read so much the pages were falling out. So when I had returned it, they were going to have to repair it because it had been read so many times.
Well, that's actually sort of beautiful.
Yeah.
So, all right, Clay, I'll let you get us wrapped up with comics, and then we can move on to our tier.
Read the miniseries Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Love that series. They use the Wizard as the main villain, but he's motivated by an angelic voice. So it's really kind of cool to see this weird twist on this science guy who's looking for like a higher power to tell him what to do. And as well as Magneto had just died before this and left a note to Wanda. And it was just the meanest thing a parent could say about Quicksilver. And she's like, she burns it at the beginning. She's like, I'm not going to tell you what it says. Like, it's just like, it's not going to do you any good. And, you know, Pietro's going to Pietro, and he's just pissed off, and he's going to be angry the whole time until he finds out what it is. And his dad shows up to tell him, basically, if you're alive and with Wanda, you will end up killing her. You are really no good to us alive. And when he killed him in House of M, he wrote in the note, he's better off dead. Like, how fucking dark is that for a dad to say to his kid? I mean, shit. Oh, but it's so much fun because the Wizard creates a team of like 400 wizard bots that are in there too. So it's fun and it's dark and the art is really beautiful. I think it's Joe Orlando who's been writing Scarlet Witch for a while, and Steve Orlando. And like the last run was kind of like who is Scarlet Witch to all these characters. Now we've got this mini run. Who is Scarlet Witch's family? And that's the darkest part of the story. And I've got the next two Scarlet Witches on deck to read, and I'm excited to see where this goes because it's really great to see one author take this character and kind of reintroduce her into the Marvel universe. And plus, she's got Darcy in there, so Darcy's just a fun character that they play with.
I did read that first Steve Orlando arc, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really love what he's doing with her, man. It's just. Finally got time to read Gail's X-Men. She knows what to do with Gambit, and now I have a favorite Gambit story. It's just like we're gonna have to steal the eye of the giant snake, and by the way, it's also like the eye of
Agamotto.
Eye of Agamotto. This is the other eye, and Gambit steals it. Like that's probably the coolest Gambit story ever. Because Gail knows how to use Gambit. That's what I loved about this book. I love anthologies, and whenever Marvel puts them out, I'm like, okay, we're always going to get one great story. All three are great stories in this.
Oh yeah,
they were all three solid stories, just so good. Blood Hunt 5 has Doom becoming the Sorcerer Supreme in it. I think there are moments in here with Doom that I feel like I know that there has been this weird backlash of Robert Downey Jr. becoming Doom and becoming the bad guy. If he can do what Doom does in this book, he'll be believable. It'll be his I am Doom moment because it's just him trying to convince them, if you make me the Sorcerer Supreme, I'll be able to save the world.
Yep.
Do you guys have a favorite Doom story? That might be a fun future question for a future show.
Secret Wars, probably.
As of recently, I really enjoyed the Christopher Canwell Doom 10-issue series. I think there's one where he goes to he works with Doctor Strange to go to hell to save his mom. I forget the name.
Yeah.
That one's really good too.
I really like those Iron Man issues where they go back to Camelot together. There's
Oh, I don't think I read that. That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
so it happens twice. So it happens. I think it's Spider. I think it happens in Iron Man. I think it's like 150, and then like 50 issues later, like 200 or something like that. But so they go back in time one time when he's wearing the classic Iron Man, the big strip things, pre-Silver Centurion armor, and then they go back just after the first Armor Wars when he's in the Mark 8 or whatever the famous armor is. But they go back in time to meet up with Merlin, and they go to Camelot and stuff. But it's just them two bickering with each other because they're both smart people. But they're so fun. But my favorite Doom story is a Mark Waid Fantastic Four run. Oh, so good, so good.
Yeah, see, I'd have to go back to John Byrne because that was like my Fantastic Four, but nothing is standing out. But it's also been like over 20 years since I've read it. So,
Jeff, you should do that. Use that TikTok sound. That's like, wouldn't it be weird if they did such and so twice? Oh, like if I had a nickel for every time that Doom and Iron Man go to Camelot, I'd have 2 nickels.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
weird that they did it twice. Like, you know what I'm talking about. You should do that.
I'll go pick. I think I know I have the second one. I think I have the first one where they go. I don't know if I do.
Go by.
That
It's okay.
individual issue.
You could just add the little covers.
Yeah.
On there. All right, Clay. Anything else?
And Monica, we read Monica for Comic Book Club. Dan Klaus, probably the best Dan Klaus book he's ever done. This is top tier. My recommendation, if you love Dan Klaus, you need to read this. If you've never read Dan Klaus, you should read this.
What else has Dan Klaus done?
Ghost World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has a short story book called Caricatures, like a Velvet Iron, or what is it? Like a glove cast in iron. Another one, David Boring. He's done a bunch of short story stuff, but this encapsulates an entire woman's life. This is from beginning to end, and you have to go all the way to the back page to get the ending of this because it's part of the actual hardback.
Oh, nice.
It is really good. It's a woman who is looking for who her parents were after they abandoned her when she's 6. So it's got a lot of dark elements to it because she goes through her memories of being a child and being with her mom, and her mom having these dudes, just kind of different dudes living there all the time. And then she hooks up with a guy, just drops her off at her grandparents' house when she's like 6 years old. And she goes through a lot of dark stuff. So but she ends up as part of a cult while she's looking for her parents.
The big twist is that this book is not about a woman named Monica.
I mean, I will tell you that Josh and I really debated the end of this book at Comic Book Club because it has a similar ending to one we had read before by David Mazzucchelli. And so, yeah, I don't want to give that one away. If you guys can figure out what we're talking about, the ending, it has a very specific kind of ending that happens in this. But while we really hated it in the Mazzucchelli book, we both embraced it, and this said, this is perfect.
It's Batman Year One.
No, it's not.
God, if Monica puts on a cowl at the end and starts fighting crime.
Shit, that would be
Monica Year One.
I'm not the Monica you need, but the Monica you deserve.
Right.
Yeah, that's all the comics that I've read. I've still got a stack to read. I've got a bunch of stuff piled up to read.
Well,
it's about Monica from Friends. That's the big twist.
All right.
At the end,
let's get started with our here. Yeah, I don't want to get into that. There's a whole criminal investigation for her.
Oh God, yeah.
Anyways, all right. On today's show, we're gonna do Probably part one of our MCU updated 2024 tier rankings. Look at that. What a great layout. So the way this works is, and there's a few rules that I haven't told these guys about, so it's gonna make it a lot more fun. First of all, we all get one during this. I guess during each of the show, each of us gets a Thanos snap, which means that we can do whatever we want with the film, including put it in an S tier or dumping it all the way to D, no matter what everybody else on the panel says.
Whoa. All right.
The other rule is that out of every every series other than Avengers, you can only have one S tier. So we have to fight it out. So, for example, out of the 4 Thor films, only one of them can be in the S tier.
That's
And
easy.
there's no requisite for all the other ones, but yeah, just because I don't want to end up with like, whatever. Like, there's no way all the Spider-Man films are S tier or whatever, whatever you want to say. So, those are the rules. Them are the rules. These are in no specific order. If anything, I think they're kind of arranged by franchise. So we'll kind of go here and we'll get through the first 17, which is halfway at least. And I know Clay's gonna have to step away in about 20 minutes, maybe. So maybe we'll get through the first 8, 9 to get to the halfway point. Take a break. Maybe we'll talk a little wrestling from last night. All right, so let's get the show on the road. Let's start with, and I'll move them to the middle tier. We'll start with Captain America, the First Avenger. Any strong feelings or any inclination of where to put this?
So go over the tiers with me. So S tier is absolute best. A is like
best. Yeah, A is good. Good, pretty good. B is average. C is maybe falters a little bit. And then D is like probably something you don't even you regret watching, or maybe not regret watching, but like something you wouldn't want to revisit anytime soon.
We live in a great time of comic book movies, and to put anything on a D tier is just insulting because we have this fucking universe. So I always hate when people are like, oh, this is just so awful because, man, you guys didn't live through the 70s and 80s. Like, you didn't live through the rough eras of no
That's why there's no F tier, right? Because F tier would be like, whatever. Like,
trash.
F tier would be like trash. D is the one where you're like, maybe I don't want to rewatch this because there's a lot of problems with this film. It's just not a very good film, whatever the case. D is the bottom, compared to.
So. Okay. So if we were doing Disney Plus shows, Secret Wars, or not Secret Wars, what is it? Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion
would be in the
F.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that because there are so many, you look at that and you do say that was done poorly. There's a lot of bad CGI, a lot of bad green screen. That they had the opportunity to make that better than it could be. So that's almost the argument for an F tier right there.
Yeah. So this is only the films and only the Marvel MCU proper films. So I'm not including, even though like Venom is not part of the multiverse or whatever. Like we're not including any of that stuff. This is just sacred timeline, I guess you would want to call it, except for Deadpool, Wolverine. I don't know.
I mean,
listen, I don't know.
Once you guys watch The Bike Riders, you're going to say Venom who after you watch Tom Hardy in this film, man. He owns this movie.
That's right. All right. So Captain America, First Avenger. Any initial rating that you guys want to throw out there?
I say A. I say it takes all of the great things about the origin of Captain America and puts him through all of it.
See, I want to say B because as much fun as the movie is, I think it's just a fine movie. I don't think it does anything. I don't know that it elevates any character. It's a little bit.
It packs in everything. It packs in the supporting cast that we will never see again, and in the Howling Commandos. And
that's part of it. I wish we got more Stanley Tucci as opposed to Tommy Lee Jones kind of phoning in his performance.
But that's who Tommy Lee Jones is. So
no, I've seen good Tommy Lee Jones. I've seen Tommy Lee Jones put effort into movies.
Oh yeah, No Country for Old Men is top tier Tommy Lee Jones. This is him just being like a grumpy old man.
And I also feel like they didn't completely have the voice of who Captain America was yet. Like I think
I
they
think
got
they
there by
did.
the end, but it
I
does
think
feel
they
like a
did.
little disjointed. So I want to put it
The
at B only
Peggy
because
Carter romance that ends Avengers Endgame is Captain America's romance, and that is developed in this movie. So I feel like to put it at B is to diminish that love story.
see, I feel like
A run like
you're
that.
bringing in your Endgame love into this movie.
It's
See,
all
I disagree with Dan because I think that Chris Evans nails Steve's character from the get go, and
Okay.
so from this movie forward, you kind of know where Cap stands because he goes through Civil War and stuff going forward. But this movie is the one where all that stuff gets paid off because he is Steve Rogers from the get go. He is just like he's the one that dives on the grenade, powerless. Like
he goes to save the kid when the kid's thrown in the water, and he's like, "Hey, I could swim," but like Cap is genuinely worried about him.
He doesn't know what fondue means. He's like very aw shucksy kind of the whole way through his whole thing. And I think he sets this up like from the get go. I'm trying to think of where my biases are, and I'm like, I do like this is Joe Johnston that directs it because he directed The Rocketeer. But even then, The Rocketeer and this movie still have that same kind of like World War II, like it fits the vibe that they need Cap to fit.
Howard Stark, Howard Hughes, who knows? I mean, they might be the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, it really is a great film. I think it's
all right. Well, are you fine? I'll acquiesce. We'll put it in A.
He punches out Hitler. He sings. He dances. The whole everything that's Cap in a huge time period is encapsulated into one film.
All right.
Also, I will say, Phase 1 movies, I tend to go a little bit lighter on because we're still just coming out of X-Men wearing leather. Like studios are afraid to make comic book movies still a little bit. They're still a little tentative on it. Going full on in,
Fair enough. I'm just shuffling the movies around a little bit, so it's more of a chronological order. It makes a little more sense to talk about them in the context. All right, next movie, Iron Man. The original Iron Man.
I mean, it built the Marvel universe. It's still a great watch. It's Robert Downey Jr. being Tony Stark. I mean, if we don't have that, we don't have the payoff in Endgame too.
Well, I love Iron Man as a movie standalone too. Like, if that had been the only Marvel movie we had received, like, I would have been like, well, we flew too high to the sun, and now we are back down to Earth. I don't normally want to like go back and mess with movies, but I'm like, if they could just put Don Cheadle in this movie,
yes,
it would be so freaking good. And this is whatever. I don't care about the other. What's his name? Howard. What's his name? What's the name of the actor that they replaced?
Oh,
yeah, whatever.
Terrence
Howard. So my thinking is this an S tier or an A tier? That's what I'm kind of fighting with.
I'm S tier.
I would definitely put it above. I would definitely put it above Cap.
Yeah, I think it goes S tier for me.
Yeah, I think it goes S tier. I mean, really, it's all on Downey's shoulders, and he carries it the whole way. Even with the pivot at the end of instead of being anonymous, he says he's Iron Man. Like, I kind of love that pivot because it makes you want to go into the next movie.
And Leonard Kim's ranking, no movie would be below B. All right, that's fair enough.
He obviously hasn't seen Thor: Dark World.
But that suit is so beautiful. That very first suit looks so good. Also, it has the advantage of being the first movie. So again, like, we don't know what we're getting into, but it's also like the one that doesn't have to worry until the very, very end about tying itself to anything. So it is a complete story from front to back.
I love
the sequel. Like, it's the whole thing.
I love the bold choice of Barbara. Like, we're gonna tell you who the villain is, but you won't be able to understand it because you don't speak Urdu. But we're gonna leave it in there. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Like, because there was people that do speak that language, and they were like, "What the hell?" Because they so that was fun to like see afterwards. All right, I do want to keep this train moving a little bit. The original Thor, Kenneth Branagh's Dutch angled written Thor. I don't mind a Kenneth Branagh film, actually.
It's a
Overall,
B.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
kind of
like.
happy where it is right now.
Yeah.
Me too. Actually, that kind of fell right into the, Darcy's such a fun character that's introduced.
Exactly.
So, give me 1 second. You guys talk about.
We get a lot of working pieces in that movie. It's just not put together super great. And weirdly, all alone, they all do kind of feel like I love Kenneth Branagh movies. They're so theatrical because he's Kenneth Branagh. We've grown to love Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman. I can't remember her name who plays Darcy. Like all the pieces are there. It just is kind of weirdly put together, I think. And I think some of that is budgeting issues and whatnot. But like,
we get to see
we're going to Mexico.
Asgard, cinematic Asgard. We get to see the throne. I mean, there are some really cool pieces that are set up in this.
Anthony Hopkins, Loki.
Anthony Hopkins just being or just being Odin. Like it's just so great to kind of watch these things in play that we've only seen on paper. It just the design and everything. I just love that, and all the characters, the Warriors 3 and Sif that show up in this. We get a little bit of them. I almost wish we could spend more time to get to know them better.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next film, The Incredible Hulk. This is where Marvel was still not sure what the heck they were playing with. They had to share their toy box with Universal. I like this film, but I do want to put it in the context of everything else we're talking about. So I would understand if this ends up at a C. I think there's some really fun stuff in it.
I think there's fun stuff in it. It's a solid B. Norton, I always look at Norton as like the darkest Hulk. Like I feel like he not only would he want to get control of the Hulk, but I think his banner is not necessarily the sanest. So I almost feel like this is another universe that maybe if we could get all the Hulks together, that this would be the darkest version that becomes Maestro. Because Norton, imagine like I thought of this idea of like Mark Ruffalo wants to help. He's been the most effective Hulk that we've ever seen because he doesn't lose control. But what if now that he knows that a multiverse exists, that he goes looking through to help the others that never quite succeeded, but he accidentally pulls in a Ned Norton who will become Maestro, someone who's dark that he can't help. And the only mad scientist part of Ruffalo's Hulk is that he wants to help people, and it kind of ruins our universe.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do like Blonsky a lot. I think Tim Roth is fantastic.
Tim Roth is so good.
William Hurt, of course, Thunderbolt Ross.
Some good action scenes in it.
Yeah, the school, the stuff at the college. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, references the old TV show. We get to see him use shit as he tears a car in half and uses it as boxing gloves.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really so cool.
That's a cool fight. They destroyed the Bronx, even though like I love that because back then everything was supposed to be connected. Like they destroyed the Bronx, but then we see the Bronx in some of the Netflix stuff, and like it looks brand new, like nothing ever happened. So
they do reference it. They do reference it.
They do, but like it's almost as if they were forced to reference it. So
they reference it like it was a snowstorm or something. I'm good with it staying at like the low B level, high C. It is kind of the weird outlier of the whole thing because it is not a full Marvel production. Maybe we just think it is just because it has that distinction. And Edward Norton is no longer around.
In the end credit scene does introduce Tony Stark in that movie.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay, let's move. So, are we good with the B?
Yeah.
We can always move these around later on if we feel like.
They're locked
when we have more context. All right, Iron Man 2. My My immediate gut says C,
See, I agree.
and it's
I
just
don't want to
because
argue that it's bad, but I mean, really, the thing Whiplash isn't. Whiplash is a great performance, but he is like a D-list
he's
villain at best. But he's performed well. I mean, Mickey Rourke is really fucking great as a
I
character
feel
that's
like
pretty ridiculous in the comics.
Mickey Rourke is in his own movie. Like he's in another movie. We
Is
do
what's
get
his name
Sam
coming back?
Rockwell.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell coming back
Sam-
from one of these
I
movies.
hope so.
He better.
I hope so because it would be such a way. But at this point, he's just done so much other stuff that I'm like, why? Unless it's a lot of money. Oh, see, Sam Rockwell could have been Doom, like a Justin Hammer from another universe that became Doom. Listen, I'm not mad at
Oh
that.
shit.
Um,
It does have some great things. I mean, Justin Hammer just being like he really kind of takes on that role really well when he interacts with
Yeah.
Whiplash. But seeing him kind of be Sam Rockwell and dance out on stage is fun. Like he brings that fun element to it.
Yeah.
And just how cheap he is. Like the thing that really disgraces this film is Elon Musk being in it. And I wish they could digitally remove him and put in anyone else.
Put in Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard to play the billionaire tech guy.
It's really interesting, right? Because that was when we all thought that, oh, maybe Elon Musk is like Iron Man, and then we realized that he's not.
Oh no, there's he's just a piece of shit.
We also see
he's there to reference Justin Hammer is what we all found out.
Yeah, the previous founder of Oracle was also in the movie, and now his son owns Paramount or something. It's weird how things change.
Yet they stay the same as the rich stay rich.
Rich people with tech money come into other industries. All right. Well, let's stay on. Well, actually, let's do this one first, since it's
Iron Man and War Machine have to use a party trick to defeat the villain at the end, so it's kind of a lame ass ending too.
Right. And R.I.P. DJM.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
All right. Let's go with the Avengers.
A beneath Captain America, though, I think.
Oh, okay. I agree with the A. I think I would put this above Captain America. So I think Clay, you might be deciding.
I would put it above Captain America
because the only reason I think below because my gut instinct says above Cap 2. But as like a movie, I was just thinking, so it's the first movie to pull off anything like this. And for me, like when I think about this in my own, I'm like, that's kind of got a S tier quality to it, but the movie itself is not an S tier. What it pulled off is. So I'm like, it is kind of a disjointed movie. It's kind of, it's like as a movie itself, like if you think of something like The Magnificent Seven that also pulls all these things together and they go off and do something like far better movie. But the hype around this movie and the fact that we were familiar with all these characters beforehand and it's tethering all these things together, like it blew my mind going to see it at the midnight screening whenever I went and saw it opening night. And I'm just like, I can't believe we're getting this, and I still get a little like when I'm watching it on TV, the first time Iron Man meets Captain America is still exciting, like you think back, that's the first time that's ever seen that happen in the theaters,
I mean, that one shot of the team shot with the circle cam,
the circle and stuff,
that's iconic, and so
the score,
the score
of this film, I mean,
there's a lot to love, but then when I think about like, I don't know, there's just like some stuff that feels disjointed to it, It's some of the dialogue is Joss Whedon-y funny, some of it's Joss Whedon-y corny, some of it is,
If we were talking the next Avengers film, I would agree more with you on that.
Yeah.
Ultron is definitely a victim of Joss Whedon.
I feel.
Yeah, but I'm fine with it being above Cap too. So
okay,
I'm not gonna argue about it, but definitely A tier.
Let's finish off our Iron Man trilogy with Iron Man 3. Shane Black, Christmas movie.
Yeah, Shane Black, Christmas movie. Lets Robert Downey kind of own the whole movie and run it himself. I I still think it's a solid B.
I get high B, really low A.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow, you guys feel a lot stronger about this film than I do. I feel like the middle of it is just so boring. Like I rewatched it
Yeah.
recently, and it's like it's fun, it's cool. Then the middle of it is like let anytime Tony's out of the suit, like after he meets with the kid,
Yeah.
it is really boring. And then things catch back up, and he comes in. He's captured, goes to that fortress, whatever. The big Mandarin reveal, which I actually think is really fun. But man, that middle part just makes it. Whereas I feel even just looking at the other Bs, like Thor and
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk are kind of nonstop go. Like I don't feel like there's a big weak part in the middle for either one of those.
But there's also an element of Tony as a mentor to this kid, because this is before he meets Peter. So also in rewatching it, you kind of see how Tony deals with that. Like he's not really comfortable. He's not the best, but at the end, he can kind of give this kid a bunch of money and thinks, and he's like, well, this kid will grow from this. This kid will learn because, he was inquisitive like I was.
So this is also not Jon Favreau. This is Shane Black. So I tend to think of this as a Shane Black Marvel movie first, then a Marvel movie. Because I also once heard Kevin Feige in an interview say, like, if we get to a third movie on any of these things, like, all bets are off. We're going to do whatever because we've already made our first two movies. Like, let's experiment with the third one.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the first time they're like, I don't know, fuck it. Let's see what Shane Black's got. The guy that did Lethal Weapon. Like, what's he going to do to a comic book movie? I really enjoy that kind of Shane Blackiness.
Yeah,
dialogue
and if you've seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, like he uses Robert Downey Jr. as a narrator in there, he uses him in this, and it's very effective to have that voiceover. Where typically it's a cop out, in a Shane Black movie, it elevates it.
Yeah, I do think it's funny. I believe this is where they reveal that he was talking to Hulk, right, or to Bruce at the end, like the whole time. He was telling the story. Okay, all right. So where in the Bs are we putting? I don't know that I would put this above Thor, but I would be okay with putting it above Hulk.
Yeah,
I would put it above both of those.
Oh, okay, Jeff, what do you think?
I would put it above Thor. Yeah, I would put it above Thor. I just think that the character development in it is so good because it also has to deal with his PTSD stuff from Avengers.
I don't like being outvoted, but so is democracy. Here we are.
Yeah, I think you could use that to win that one spot back.
Yeah, do you have a snap?
No, I'm not gonna waste it on
Thor.
Speaking of Thor, The Dark World.
I would say that I've really tried to rewatch this, but when I have, I've fallen asleep. And I really loved Christopher Eccleston, and then I've seen in the comics, like War of the Realms, how you can use this character and make him better than this. So it's the fact that they've kind of failed on all fronts that I go, well, it should be D, but it's not total crap.
I think it should be D, and as much as Endgame recolored a lot of this film for me, but I feel like that's cheating. Like I feel like, unfortunately, Eccleston is wasted as a villain.
Yeah.
I think the best performance in this movie is probably Loki, and we don't get a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this movie feels like very disjointed, kind of like Jeff was talking about with the Avengers. That I definitely would agree on this one. Yeah, so I would say this one is a D, and I don't like crapping on movies, but Thor: The Dark World
it could have been a lot better for the second film. They already had already created a foundation. It should have done more.
Yeah,
I want to say that the director, I don't even know who directed that movie, did kind of hem and haw about wanting to release a director's cut of this movie.
Who was it?
During all the Zack Snyder stuff, and then what's his name got on it with Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
he wanted to release the David Ayer Suicide Squad cut.
Yeah.
And then this guy was just like, "Let me release the Thor: Dark World cut."
Alan Alan Taylor is the director.
Oh, okay.
You
There
you
you
know,
go. Yeah,
Patty Jenkins was originally slated to direct this.
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
she went to do Wonder Woman instead. All
Well, you
right,
could have
Good
had.
choice.
let's do another origin film here with the first Ant-Man movie.
I will bring up though the what we really got robbed of was an Edgar Wright Ant-Man movie, which would have been
Yeah.
insane. But I do feel that Adam McKay directed this and kind of took over with some elements that Edgar Wright had in it. It's still a passable and fun movie. It's a Paul Rudd movie. He's going to carry all of Ant-Man, and it's funny.
I agree.
Okay.
Is it Adam McKay who directed it? don't
I
think
thought
so.
it was the guy from that did a lot of the Peyton Reed.
Oh, it's Peyton
Peyton
Reed.
Reed.
Okay, he was I guess executive producer on it.
Yeah, Peyton Reed, because I remember he did like some of the Office work and too, and so he's good with the comedy, and I think it works really well with the heist aspect of it. It's probably the best of the Ant-Man films.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, definitely.
So I would say maybe A. I just don't know where within the A's.
Below
put it.
Captain America, I think it's right. It's perfect where it is.
That's where
it's a
Ant-Man
very
would
fun
want to be
heist
too.
movie.
I think Ant-Man would agree. Like Scott Lang would be like, "There's no way you're putting me above Captain America, anyway." So
That's
Steve, Cap, Captain Rogers, Mr. America.
that's right.
I got to step away if y'all want to vamp.
All right, so we're gonna when we come back, we're gonna talk about Guardians. So start thinking about it, Clay.
Already know that is.
Well, there it is. He already said it.
Well, we'll see because he can only put one of them in the S tier. Is that the one he wants to put on there? We got to talk about that.
All
right.
these are good questions.
Take a little break. Let's we're gonna talk a little bit about wrestling while Clay comes back. Did you watch SmackDown from last night?
I haven't seen it all. I missed like the last 20 minutes of it. I had something pop up, so I was like, I think it's the bloodline stuff at the very end, maybe.
Yeah. It was. I gotta say, it felt a little lackluster compared to some of the other SmackDowns that we've had recently.
I think I hate to say this, but I feel like there's something missing about the bloodline bit, and I think it's what it is they didn't let. I think they brought Roman back too soon because I don't think they let Solo cook enough to be like he felt dangerous, but he still felt like not an actual heir to the throne kind of thing.
I am glad that it looks like Jacob Fatu is hurt because he's wearing a boot, but he was still able to do some stuff yesterday because that man is just a monster.
Yeah.
If anything, what I want, and hopefully he can be fully healed, and what I want and what they should do is at Bash at Berlin, they should do Roman versus Fatu because he'll have, let him get through the heavy first, or maybe he doesn't even get through it. Maybe the bloodline just ambushes him. Like, let Roman be on the receiving end of all the shenanigans that he put all those people through for years while he was the champion.
Yeah. I also wonder. I mean, I guess they could. So when is Bash at Berlin?
It's like in 2 weeks or something. Yeah, every time it's always 2 weeks away. Where
it's 2 weeks away.
It's always a new pay-per-view coming 2 weeks away for some reason.
They're doing tag team, so it's going to be the Bloodline versus whoever. I can't remember even who won the tag match last night.
It's the Street
DIY.
Profits.
Street Profits.
one.
So I'm wondering if they're not going to actually have a Roman versus anybody, but just Roman runs in during like a Street Profits beatdown, maybe, or something like he just gets involved with something that is bloodline adjacent.
What I feel like they have to do is they need to. Roman's going to keep trying, and he's going to have like the numbers game is going to keep coming into play, and maybe they'll bring is it Jay? No,
Jay.
Jimmy.
Well, Jay's on Raw.
Jimmy first, right? Because he was the one that was still with Roman.
Yeah.
That Solo kicked out. So bring Jimmy first, and then there's still not enough. We already know that they're doing some shenanigans to move Jay and Sammy over to SmackDown, I think.
Mhm.
So like let that build up, right? They keep losing. They keep like Roman keeps losing. Jay comes in. They think they might have something. They still lose because the bloodline is just the new bloodline is just too strong. And then you finally bring in the original bloodline in its best iteration with the
This
honorary
is Sammy.
Ooze, with Jimmy J and the honorary Ooze.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
so
Paul.
and,
Bring back
yeah,
Paul.
dude, Paul Heyman getting a very well deserved break after putting himself through a table like that.
But it's so weird that this was carrying the WWE for so long, the Bloodline storyline, and now it feels like it's taken a definite backseat for me to Rhea, Liv, and Dirty Dom,
Yeah,
and the
the Judgment
changing
Day
of
stuff.
Judgment
Yeah.
Day stuff, because that I am all in thing that they're doing over there on
Yeah, I think
Raw.
the Cody stuff is also feels very transitionary. Like we need to fill in some
Mhm.
time while stuff happens. Where I would love to see a Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes. Like I still want that. That's not. I would watch that match anytime.
Yeah, I feel like they approach that a little weirdly.
It's a weird thing. Like it hurts because like KO's a babyface right now. So like
Mhm.
Cody gives him the shot, and then maybe he feels like he doesn't deserve it. But then yesterday, that was a really good segment. I don't know if you got to watch it at the end of the. I think it was the first match anyway, so probably you did. Where KO picks up the title to give it to Cody. The
Yeah.
audience was at that moment of like, wait a minute, maybe he does. And of course, Kevin wants the title. Like that's what they're all there for.
Well, see, when Cody, so in my head, this is how I would have written it out. So when Cody is like, "Hey, I think you're deserving. You deserve a match." What I really wanted Kevin Owens to say was like, "We're friends. I don't want to fight you because when I fight for that title, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, like because I
Yeah,
want the title." Like I wanted him to be like, "I can't do that because then I can't be your friend anymore, and I like being your friend. But if we're going
yeah,
after that title, it's done. Like I can't, you know." And then Cody's like, "Ah, no, it's not like that." And then Kevin beats the shit out of Cody, like kind of thing. And then Cody it would be another thing for it would be an interesting story point for Cody's like super face, baby face, like
yeah,
champion for
yeah,
him to be like, okay, I gotta, be serious about this or whatever, like kind of not serious, not that he's unserious, but,
yeah.
not be looking for the fights, like, or whatever. So I think it would
No,
be. I think that would have been more interesting than Kevin just being like, I don't want to do it. I also am really loving the Gunther as a champion. I
oh
love
my
Braun
god,
Breaker.
that I'm kind of glad now that the King of the Ring ended the way it did because it's giving us this Randy Gunther match,
Yeah.
right? With the
Hmm.
controversy of the pin or whatever happened there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Totally.
I definitely think that was a botch, and they're working it into the best way they can into a story. Um, so that should be a good match. I mean, they have such different styles of wrestling. I think
Hmm.
Randy
Hmm.
and Gunther. That's probably going to
But
be a
they're
really
both
good.
like what I think is they're both really good at doing psychological wrestling.
Yeah,
So, and they're both really slow, methodical workers. So I feel like you're gonna feel every single chop, every single punch, like it's gonna feel like a brutal match. I hope.
yeah. Gunther's been getting put through the ringer. Like his chest has been bleeding. I don't know that it's fully healed since the last match. I think Priest was
Yes.
just doing really good work there. Hopefully he gets involved in the championship again at some point, like soon.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
he's over this bloodline, I mean the Judgment Day stuff. But I mean, I think the Judgment Days probably leads up. I don't know. I don't kind of want it to be a bash at Berlin. I feel like that card's already kind of packed.
Yeah. I think the Judgment Day storyline is gonna take place over the next
Yeah,
6 months at least. Yeah.
yeah. So, all right. Anything else on wrestling before we get back to our tier, Jeff?
Well, we got a bunch of AEW stuff coming to the
I mean,
Rangers
the
Stadium.
whole the collision stuff has all been at the EA Sports Arena or the esports arena in Arlington for like the whole summer.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
Which
used to go see them in They were like at some Garland when they first started, some little stadium out in Garland or whatever.
Yeah,
little arena
no,
in
now
Garland.
they've been in Arlington. We'll see. We'll see what happens after the show in the UK. I think that's where new storylines are gonna. I'm not too enthused about a lot of stuff at AEW.
I just
but
need them. I just need them to announce that they're going to start streaming on Max. Once
yeah,
they do that, like I don't understand why it's so difficult for them to stream in America. Like you have to have some kind of cable subscription or something like that. I've never been able to watch the show since I got off of. I don't remember. I used to have Sling,
no,
but I
okay.
haven't seen it. But I haven't seen an AEW show at all since getting off Sling. Like I'll watch YouTube stuff that they put up, but I have no idea what's going on in their stuff because you just can't watch it online. Like as far as I can tell, I've never
Not
been able to
legally.
find it.
Yeah.
Not legally. Yeah, not legally. Yeah. I
Like
do. I
that.
will watch people like streaming it on their TikToks and stuff on occasion.
Oh, that's fun. All right, let's get back to the tiers. Now, Clay, you seem very. Hold on, let me put this back. You seem very enthused when I mentioned that Guardians was next. Now, I do want to remind you that only one of the Guardians films can be in the S tier. So I don't want you to prematurely
use my snap.
Yeah, I'm just warning you. Because
So you don't want to S tier too early, Clay. Don't S tier too early.
If it's Guardians, it's A tier or better. So the first Guardians movie elevated a book that really I don't feel like anyone was reading. The Guardians, the old Guardians and the new Guardians. The new Guardians started 2006, Abnett and Lanning.
Yeah.
It's definitely an A tier. I mean, it's hard to argue what James Gunn did with Guardians didn't secure him the job at DC. Or maybe it was the Suicide Squad movie he took over to secure him the job at DC. But these are the foundation of superhero movies that really pull the heartstrings, and I think that's what he's going to do at DC. So I'm going to say it's A tier because I feel like one of the other two films is the S tier.
See, I think this is my S tier because it's the first one. It's also the one. So like this is the way the Guardians plays out. So if you are a mama's boy, you love the first one. If you're a daddy's boy or a girl, you love the second one. And then the third one is the third one. Not that the third one's bad, but I feel like the third one, James Gunn, has to deal with what the Russos did in Endgame, which is not, and he's also coming off of being fired from Disney, getting rehired and stuff like that. There's a lot that, in my mind, it doesn't necessarily show in the film, but there's a lot more to that movie in my mind that kind of is taking place in that movie. But for me, the first one always makes me tear up. I get choked up watching the first one every time I've watched it, no matter what. Even if I'm not watching the full thing, just watching clips of it, I'm like, ugh. As soon as they start, I'm a mom's boy. So as soon as they're like dead mom tape at the end of the thing, I'm just like, ugh. So for me, that's a S tier.
Oh, interesting. See, I think that I just really love all the character work for Rocket, which is probably why the third one is. I mean, they're almost equal footing. I'd probably put this at the top of the A's.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
But if you guys decide that this is the S tier Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I also won't fight y'all on that. It's like
since we can only have one, I would have to fight because I feel I'm not the mama's boy or the daddy's boy. I am a raccoon.
The rocket
man.
boy.
I am a rocket boy.
Like I'm the trash panda of the family.
The trash panda. So I mean, for me, 3 pays off in multiple ways. I mean, there's just so much in 3, but I don't want to really get into it until we get there. One has such a strong foundation. It's so good.
Weirdly, I will also go into needle droppage, and I think 3 has the best needle drops.
I don't think I'm all gonna.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna argue with that. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Next up, I think this should be a good. So we have 1, 2, we have 5, 8, 9, 10. So okay, yeah. So we'll do it. Let me see if I want to do it this way. Yeah, let's do it this way. So we end with Winter Soldier. So we'll do these 7. So 17 is the halfway point. We'll do 17 movies today. Let's talk about Doctor Strange. And let me start with this one because I don't know why I really like this film. I want to put this at an A tier, somewhere in the mix. I don't think it's at the top of the A's, but for me, I love rewatching this film. I think Scott Derrickson visually does some really cool stuff, and I really the ending of it, like the whole, Dormammu, like, is just such a fun, clever thing. Yeah, this I really like this movie. I keep
It's
hyping
great.
myself about it. So I want to put it somewhere in the A's. Do you guys have any strong opinions on Doctor Strange?
I like it right where it is. I think it's an A tier, and I think it's perfect casting. I mean, and you could say like, well, Cumberbatch is doing like the smartest guy in the room, like Tony Stark. Well, they're both the smartest guys in the room. There'll always be an Iron Man and a Doctor Strange in the Illuminati. How do these two compare? And we see it later in Infinity War, where they kind of go head to head.
Yeah,
but Cumberbatch does such a great Doctor Strange, who's just so in love with himself and has to learn to love others.
and it's very interesting because, like you mentioned, Cumberbatch plays the smartest person in the room until he's not, and he realizes that, and that's the turning point of the movie. But Jeff, where do you stand on Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys have said so far. I do love the thing I love most about this movie is the ending. How it's not a big giant fight scene. It's a puzzle that gets solved.
Dormammu?
Yes. I'm good with where it sits right now. Doctor Strange is such a weird character for me because I'm like, I really like Doctor Strange, but I find myself not loving Doctor Strange, but I really like Doctor Strange, That's just kind of where I'm at with him.
Sorry that I'm shuffling these around. I'm trying to get them more in the release order, kind of.
Yeah,
At
I
least
mean,
from what
we
I
get
remember.
a Mads Mikkelsen villain, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's used. I mean, anytime you use Mads,
Papa Pedro is about to be the smartest man.
he is.
Sure
He
is.
is. The Council of Reeds too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I almost feel like casting Mads Mikkelsen in a first one. I feel like he's more of a third film villain, because you want that guy to kind of chew the scenery and just be evil. But he's perfect in this for everything they do. I think there's a lot of the visuals look very much like they were lifted from Inception, but they've evolved. So I do love that. We've seen the mirror dimension. We've seen pages that look like they were just drawn like by Steve Ditko. That was kind of the coolest part of those worlds that we get to see. And it was very effective, but it's still like there. I don't know if it's an element of fun that because we get Ant-Man, but that's who that character is. Does Doctor Strange just have to be sad? Like, because that's kind of who that is. Yeah.
It's hard to compare. I did want to argue that this should be above Ant-Man just because personally I prefer like the drama horror thing on top, like as opposed to the comedy, but that may not be everybody's take. So I don't know if everybody's gonna fight me on that.
I would put it above Ant-Man. I also enjoy the cast on this movie is amazing, and probably like wasted is the wrong word, but for a one-off movie where you're just like you don't get to see these people, you may or may not. Chiwetel Ejiofor has popped back up, but like these guys are all
bring Matt Mikkelsen back as Doom.
Yeah,
this everybody's gonna be cast. Doom.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be. Yeah, Matt Mikkelsen would have been a great Doom.
Council of Dooms. Oh shit! Now I kind of hype myself up for that scene. Actually, that wouldn't work. Dr. Doom is too big of an ego to work in a council. Isn't there a story where he goes out and kills every other Doom to become like the one or something?
Yeah, I thought that there were the evil versions in Secret Wars that were on a life raft of the big bads from all the worst timelines.
Oh, I need to go back and check some of those out. I forget.
During the Hickman run, the Council of Reeds would kidnap all the Dooms from the different universes and make them their like slaves, basically.
Oh my god, who's the real villain there?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Age of Ultron.
Oof.
Yeah, I know.
It's
know.
still-
it
it's still
could have
pretty
been so
fun.
much better.
Yeah,
And
it's still
I
pretty
hate that
fun
I'm
movie.
saying that.
Yeah. Where are we at? I mean, I think it's better than it's. I think it definitely should be on the B's. I just don't. It's probably better than the Hulk and Thor at least.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
even
Oh, better.
Iron Man.
Yeah. I mean, James Spader, like picking a voice of a robot who has like just the pauses and the inflections that he has was a great choice.
So good. I love that scene where they're all trying to lift up the hammer. Unfortunately, James Whedon is so fucking good at doing stuff like that, which is like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, right? And just, yeah.
If Joss Whedon would just learn, like just put the fun stuff and let someone else write the dialogue, because some of his dialogue's a little. And
we get some fun stuff. We get the introduction of Pietro and Wanda. We get the Vision coming to life,
and a wild choice of what to do with Pietro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean that's a choice. That's really wild to just say, you know what, we're just going to have him in here, and that kind of elevates Scarlet Witch to another level. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the end, and we think we're going to get to hear the Avengers Assemble call. Like there's a lot of cool shit,
and we get one of my childhood crushes, Linda Cardellini, in the mix too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we get a whole different Hawkeye story.
Hawkeye's secret family. Cool. All right, are we good with the B there at the top of the B's?
Yeah, top of the B's.
B movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, cool. Let's talk about Black Panther, the original Black Panther.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not.
That's a cool movie. That is a cool movie. That's an S movie.
Okay.
I mean, Oscar nominated. I mean, that hero, Chadwick Boseman, on screen and off. You know, the guy who carried through the Avengers movie Sick, who elevated superheroes to just a whole different level. And that film just so star-studded, and he carries so much of it, and it's just great. Like he's a king. He suffers. His fan. Oh man, it's just. I mean, it's Shakespeare on screen with fucking superheroes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I love it. I love Killmonger. I think he's a fantastic villain. One of the best villains. Probably. What was it? Was it before? This was before Endgame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they had filmed this and they didn't realize when they were yelling Wakanda Forever and fighting, like how big that battle cry had become because of of Battle of Black Panther.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really good. It's really, really I love that movie. So
and you feel his absence in the second film.
The
second film is just sad. You go through every part of it, you know, feeling like you've lost something because you're just relating to the characters on film.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next up.
S tier. S tier.
This is
the best of Cap.
Now the thing is gonna be, I think when we get to the end, we're gonna have to rank the S tiers once they're all there.
Easily done.
We'll figure it out, but for now we'll just put it here. Yeah, it's my favorite MCU film.
Ranking too, yeah. Honestly.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, it's S tier and it has Batroc the Leaper in it. I love it.
And Crossbones.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna make it all the way. So I'm saving some of the big hitters till the next part of it. As you can see, Avengers and Endgame, all that stuff. Move that over to the end. So we're gonna make it all the way to Civil War, and we'll
Okay.
kick off with Spider-Man next turn around. So let's do Captain Marvel. Where are we on
I
Captain
think
Marvel?
she's A tier,
I agree.
and I think she's above Ant-Man. Yeah, I think she's above Ant-Man.
Jeff?
She's A tier. I'm trying to see who's okay. So it goes.
So it's
Who's number
so
4?
it's Guardians, Avengers, Captain America, First Avenger, Doctor Strange, and then now we have Captain Marvel for now.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
It's a fun
Yeah,
90s throwback.
Yeah. My
It's
only
almost
complaint
another
is,
tribute to Shane Black with the kind of the mirror copy of what was his other movie with Gina. Jesus Christ.
I don't know what you're talking about, Clay, so can't help you there. I'm sorry. I'm usually pretty good at charades.
What is Gina? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. Gina Davis. Long Kiss Goodnight, you know,
Oh,
because that was the 90s action film with Samuel L. Jackson and this woman who was a badass. And now we have this other one where this woman's a badass and he's trying to figure her out as Nick Fury. I mean, it's really the first hero he's encountered, correct?
Yeah. For sure.
We get to see a young Coulson. I mean, and it has a fucking great soundtrack. We see the Kree. I kind of would love to see more of the Kree just because we had this idea in the first Captain Marvel movie was a society run by AI. And now she's destroyed it in the second film, but we don't get to see what that destruction does other than Hela coming after, or not Hela, but who's the accuser in the second film?
Ronan?
Not Ronan.
Oh.
In in the Marvels, the
Oh.
accuser.
I don't know. I don't remember her name.
Yeah. I love the first film a lot more than the second film. And I think it's solid she has a huge history, but really the best history of who Captain Marvel is started with Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the only complaint I have with Captain Marvel is like the little wonky CGI at the end, that last fight.
And she's a girl.
They're out in the open. Yeah, that's my other complaint. She doesn't smile enough, guys.
She's gross.
And she cuts sandwiches
weird.
weird. And she's always in that room with the little kid.
Have you not seen the Long Kiss Goodnight?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Clay.
Shane Black, fucking, that's
you
an
can
awesome.
say Shane Black some more. I'm still not gonna have seen that film.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I like Shane Black
you
movies.
definitely should check it out next to Captain Marvel and appreciate Samuel L. Jackson a little more.
Okay, I do appreciate Samuel Jackson. And
Blockbuster hasn't been open for 12 years, so
yeah, I enjoy for the most part Shane Black movies, other than that Predators film that he made.
We need to come up with a. Sorry to sidetrack again, but like this should be a list of movies that people will never watch because Blockbuster and TNT are no longer, like, people don't have cable television to watch that one movie that TNT would show 400,000 times.
Yeah. What I wanna do also is a list of your favorite movies that are free on YouTube, because in my personal YouTube, not my personal, but like in my Google account, that's my personal email. Sometimes I switch it like to do stuff, and I'm on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, there's all these free movies, and they like I'll be playing something, and they'll just start playing, and I'm like, oh, maybe there's. I mean, you can watch them with ads, but whatever. That's a whole other show. All right, we got 2 more films. We're already at over 2 hours, so let's kind of wrap this up. Let's do. What about Black Widow?
Oh, I forgot about it.
I love Black Widow.
I also really love Black Widow. Man, that opening, holy moly!
Yeah,
it's got some problems.
But it really comes down to that great scene at the dinner table, like this this dysfunctional family that one thinks they were a family, everyone else thinks they weren't, yet they had this connection. I kind of love it, but I think there are some problems with the action.
I'm leaning high B or low A, but I don't know. You guys can steer us.
She deserved a better film.
Yeah, and earlier.
an earlier, better film, not one after she died.
I'd say
We get
bottom A.
Yelena. Yelena's in it. Yeah, I'd go high
Red
B.
Guardian. And she's the only one of that. I mean, I could just snap and say she's S tier because she really has no other films. But
That's true. But there's still all these
I
other-
think she's an A. I think Black Widow's an A film. I do rewatch that a lot. I love the family dynamic in it and just how broken they are. And
okay with-
just
I'm okay with
Yelena
that.
is so great in it.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this here. Okay, last film for this round. Captain America: Civil War to complete. I think this completes our second trilogy because we completed Iron Man.
It's A.
It's definitely an
A.
A tier.
I agree. Is it better than? Well, I guess let's go kind of through it. Is it better than Black Widow?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it better than Ant-Man?
Yes.
Is it better
Yes.
than Captain Marvel?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it better than Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll acquiesce. Is it better than the first Avenger?
Yes. Zemo's villain is so calculating, and everything he does, it's great.
That's true.
And
I
Zemo,
think it's also doing a lot more than the first Avenger.
It's really Avengers 3.5,
It's really Avengers 3.5.
not Captain America 3.
I would say it's better than Avengers.
I would say it's
I
better
don't-
than Avengers. I think it falls number 2 on the list, right behind
right
Exactly.
behind Guardians.
right
Yep.
behind Guardians.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I don't know if personally I would put it. I think I like Avengers more personally, but this is a show effort, so I think I knew that we were gonna have a lot of A's. So I think that's kind of where we'll stay here for now.
Marvel doesn't miss.
Marvel, we don't have a lot of. My only surprise is that a Hulk is a little higher than I thought it was going to end up at. I'll say that. So that's interesting. Everything else is kind of like where I thought it would be.
Ed Norton's so good in that. I mean, he's really a
And it's-
great.
Yeah, it's
And
great
it's really just
performance.
it's really just one rung above what you thought it would be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Well, cool. There you go. There you have it. Let me save this. For now, we'll come back and do the rest. Please add a title to your tier. Oh gosh.
Oops,
The next issue tier rankings. Part 1. There we go.
All right.
We did it. All right.
Fourth
So,
Thor.
as we close up the show, I didn't even ask if you guys had any recommendations.
The Bike Riders film. Like as much as I gushed over it earlier, like it is really this unbelievable snapshot of America, from a motorcycle club to crime syndicate.
Nice.
Okay.
And
I
Tom
agree.
Hardy's so good.
I love that film. Yeah, it's really good. I'm interested to see where it's gonna fall at the end of the year with all the films. It's been kind of a weak year, but the movies that are good, like they're really good. Like Dune 2, Furiosa, Blood Lies Bleeding. Like there's the movies that I really enjoyed. Like I really enjoyed. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, Jeff, do you have any recommendations for our?
No, nothing really. Get your favorite gal pals together and go see It Ends With Us. Make it a big brunch date. Have fun with it.
Here's $10. Go watch a Star Wars. Unfortunately, you can't. I would recommend you guys go check out. I mean, we talked about a lot of really fun comics, but if you haven't, go watch Furiosa. It's now on Max. It's available on Max. Or go watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We'll be talking about that when Josh gets back in a couple of weeks from suspension.
I'm gonna get on my soapbox about commercials and streaming.
I mean, this is how strong I feel about Bike Riders. It is better than Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
And
There's not even a monkey
fan.
in that one.
I know.
Yeah. Speaking of Monkey, go watch Bad Monkey. I'll have a review out for the first episode later on. But yeah, that's it. We did it. We got a show. We did a show.
We did it.
Cool. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come back next week to finish up our tiers. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Most important thing in life will always be
Bill Bebo.
Little loves you.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.